Have you ever gotten so close to quitting that you could actually feel the moment you were about to give up? Welcome to God Showed Up Stories. Real stories of faith, real struggles, and real moments where God shows up right on time. It was a Wednesday afternoon, around 3:15. I remember because I kept glancing at the clock on the wall like it was somehow going to move faster if I looked at it enough times. I was sitting in my car, parked outside a small office building, my hands resting on the steering wheel, just staring at the entrance. I had an interview scheduled for 3:30, but I hadn't gone in yet. I had been sitting there for almost 10 minutes, and the longer I sat there, the harder it felt to move. My resume was sitting in the passenger seat next to me, slightly crumpled from being picked up and put down too many times. I had printed 3 copies that morning, just in case. I thought I was prepared, but sitting there in that car, I didn't feel prepared at all. I felt drained. This wasn't my first interview. It wasn't even my 5th. I had lost count at that point. Same process every time. Apply. Wait. Hope. Interview. Then either silence or rejection. And every time I told myself, this one might be different. But it never felt different for long. I looked down at my phone. 3:18. 12 minutes. That's all I had before I needed to walk in. And instead of feeling ready, I felt like driving away. I remember leaning forward, resting my forehead against the steering wheel, and just closing my eyes. I can't do this again. I said it quietly, but I meant it. Not because I didn't want the job. I needed the job. But I was tired of putting myself out there, only to feel like it didn't matter. Tired of hopping. Tired of trying to sound confident when I didn't feel it anymore. And in that moment, sitting in that car, I seriously considered leaving. Just starting the engine and driving off. No explanation. No more disappointment. Just done. I picked up my phone again. 3:21. 9 minutes. I stared at the screen, not really looking at anything, just trying to distract myself from the feeling building in my chest. That tight, heavy pressure that comes when fear and doubt start taking over. And that's when the thought came in. What if this is just another rejection? What if I walk in there, try again, and nothing changes? I sat there for a second, letting that thought settle. And then something else came in, quieter. What if you're about to walk away from something God set up? That stopped me. I sat up slowly and just stared ahead at the building again. I hadn't thought about it like that. Up until that moment, I had been looking at everything through frustration, through exhaustion, through disappointment, but not through faith. I took a deep breath, leaned back in my seat, and just whispered, God, I don't have the strength for this right now, but if this is something you want for me, I need you to help me walk in there. It wasn't a perfect prayer. It wasn't long, but it was real. I looked at the clock again. 3:24. 6 minutes. I reached over, grabbed my resume, smoothed it out as best as I could, and opened the car door. As soon as my feet hit the pavement, I felt it. Not confidence, not excitement, but something steady, like just enough strength to take the next step. I walked into the building, checked in at the front desk, and sat down in the waiting area. My hands were still a little shaky, but I stayed. A few minutes later, they called my name. The interview itself, it wasn't perfect. I stumbled on a couple of answers, paused longer than I wanted to, but I was honest. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't trying to be perfect. I was just being real. When it was over, I walked back to my car, sat down, and just let out a long breath. I didn't know how it went. I didn't know what the outcome would be. But I knew one thing. I hadn't quit. And that mattered. Later that evening, around 6:40, my phone rang. I almost didn't answer. But I did. And when I heard the voice on the other end say, "We'd like to move forward with you," I just sat there in silence for a second, because I almost didn't show up. I almost drove away. I almost missed it. And in that moment, it hit me. God didn't just show up in the outcome. He showed up in the strength it took for me to walk in that building. That was the real miracle. Because sometimes, the breakthrough isn't just what happens after. It's the fact that you didn't give up before it happened. So if you're in a moment right now where you feel like quitting, where everything in you is saying, just stop trying, I need you to hear this. Don't walk away too soon. Because what if the very thing you've been praying for is right on the other side of one more step? If this story spoke to you, comment "God showed up" down below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to God Showed Up Stories, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a story. And share this with someone who might be feeling like giving up right now. Because you never know who needs this reminder. Thanks for listening. And remember, God always shows up right on time.